are some of the interesting conclusions?
I think from our perspective, the most interesting conclusion was Thai society is not polarized politically.
Really?
The color divide does not exist.
I thought we turn everywhere is either red or yellow, and you say it doesn't exist?
It doesn't exist, yes. That's what the numbers say.
How come?
Well, we looked at 49 very specific questions, looking at political mood and looking at political issues. And when we analyzed the answers to those, we found that in 90% of those 49 questions, the general population basically all agreed. There was consensus. And by consensus, I mean more than 60% agreed with each other. If there's polarization by color, one would see, this 50-50 split, reds on one side, yellows on the other side. But the data also showed us that actually the reds and the yellows were minorities. About 5% of the population said that they were yellow, and about 7% said they were red.
These are people that identify themselves.
Of these 1,500 households, 5% said they were yellow, 5% slightly leaning yellow, and then 7% red, 7% slightly leaning red, so about 24% said that they were colored. 3% of the households refused to answer, which is actually quite small. Our margin of error is 3%. So we actually thought that more people would refuse to answer that question. Anyway, the important point is 74% said no color. I'm neutral. I don't agree with either of these color debates. So we then compared the answers to a variety of these 49 questions. What did the no colors say? What did the yellows say? What did the reds say? And as I said, in 90% of those cases, the no colors, there's a consensus. They agree with each other. In 33% of the cases, the no colors and the yellows agree with each other against the reds. In 10% of the cases, the no colors and the reds agree with each other against the yellows. And in only 10% of the cases was the general population divided. In other words, no consensus, and the reds on one side and the yellows on the other side. So based on that data, we have to say that Thai society is not very polarized. If you look at the basic issues of democratic values, 98% of the population, red, yellow, no color, are basically saying Thais have common values that unite us more than divide us. I mean, this is what Thais themselves think. It's not our interpretation. This is what the data is telling us.
So we have a chance for national reconciliation.
So there's a great deal of, there's a great possibility, yes, for national reconciliation, but it'll take time because there's a great deal of, part of the problem is the media. One of the questions is the integrity of the media. And the scores for the media actually went down between 2009 and 2010. People have less trust in the media because they don't think that they are being given the total story. They're basically just reporting, what are the reds saying today, what are the yellows saying today, and those do happen to be minority voices. They're not reporting what does the majority think, or where does the majority agree with one side or the other. So a lot of it has to do with the media trying to better educate the general public on what is actually happening.
That's their expectation of what the media should do.
That's their expectation. And they don't think the media is doing a very good job. Of course, members of parliament received very low integrity scores, again, this year. The only institution that receives high marks, over 50% for integrity, is the courts of justice. Coming in number 2 is the military. It's less than 50%, but still it comes in second. And down in the bottom are organizations like MPs, the media, the police, are perceived to have low integrity. So those institutions need to do some self-reform, I guess.
It sounds to me like people are pretty bored with politics.
Actually, there's a slight increase in interest. We asked the question, are you interested in politics? And we also based it on the question, did you attend political meetings? Do you talk with your circle of friends about politics? Have you participated in any demonstrations? You know, taking those 3 questions to see, are people interested in politics? And overall, yes, it's a very small minority of the population that's really interested in politics, but that number has slightly increased. People are more interested in day-to-day issues of what affects them at the local level. What is the price of rice? Is palm oil available today at the market? What is the price of chicken, eggs? That's one major issue that these economic issues. Again, what is the biggest problem at the local level? It's the economy. So those are the issues that they're interested in.
How much has the political events of April, May last year affect the perception of people on politics?
A surprising answer was, I'll give you 2 questions. One question we asked from 2009 was whether you felt that people in your area were free to express their political opinions. You had a very high number in 2009. That actually increased in 2010. Thai citizens felt that, yes, I have the freedom to say what I want to say politically. In 2010, we then asked the question, well, there's been a lot of media censorship, and some people say that's necessary sometimes for national unity. Other people say, never, there should just always be press freedom because freedom of expression is more important. A surprising 68% of the population said sometimes a little censorship is necessary. But at the same time, they're saying, I feel free to express myself. There was also majority support for putting bans on very large demonstrations. And that people are tired of large demonstrations, according to the data. And as you know, before Parliament right now, there is a new piece of legislation that will put some limits on public demonstrations. And one of the things is the size of the demonstration. Because it does cost a lot of taxpayer money to monitor those large demonstrations, to keep the peace, to provide porta potties, food. It takes a lot of time for journalists and everybody to go, creates traffic problems. So it's, people are tired. People are tired of those large demonstrations.